Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about this Haslab vault thing that happened yesterday. Now, I saw it when it happened. I got the email, and I will share my experience with it, but I didn't buy any of it because I either didn't want it or I already had it. But I did post this on my community page so other people could get a shot at it. But it was a surprise. It was a shock. And, of course, it sold out really fast. That wasn't a shock at all. But I know a lot of people have found my channel because I talked about Haslabs, and while I was talking about them during funding campaigns, especially the Unicron. And I have gone on record saying that if they do another run of one of these Haslabs, that I would be done with Haslab. I would speak out against Haslab. I wouldn't be a supporter, and I've been a supporter since the Cell Barge. But we're going to get into talking about this and what I think happened with this situation, why it's going on, coming up. First off, let's start talking about the very first Haslab, which was the Cell Barge, and this was not present on this. And I was waiting until today to even talk about this topic. Of course, I had a video that actually took a lot of editing yesterday to make, but this was not part of this. They didn't put this back out, meaning that I don't think they have any extra stock. So I really believe all of this was the extra stock that they have. And the reason I say that is because when you do a production run of this, some stuff's going to get lost. Some people are going to get theirs and might have a missing part, might have a production flaw that nobody saw. There's just unforeseen circumstances. And I don't know if it's 5%, 10% extra, but they make extra. I think it was 10% extra that they made of every Haslab, because if you have a problem, you call them up and they send it out to you, then where are they going to get this stuff from? Are they going to wait and get it from the factory in China? And then, well, that might be where they get some of it. But for the most part, they want to get you satisfied and taken care of right away, and they'll send you out another Haslab. You send yours back, they'll send it back out. But with the Sky Striker, I wasn't really happy with how they treated me on that figure. It took forever to get it, and I had a couple other dinged up ones I just kept because I didn't want to wait 3 months questioning if I was going to get it. But with this, I had some parts on it that I just wasn't happy with, and they sent me new ones, and they just flat out sent me new ones, and I was happy. And they took good care of me. And they can only do that if they have extra parts on hand, extra items on hand. And I think that's where all these things came from. The other thing about the Cell Barge, and I saw the small writing on the Cell Barge, maybe somebody can find it on any of these other Haslabs. But back when it was Haslab.com or something like that, it wasn't actually on Pulse. Pulse wasn't a thing back when this was around. Pulse came later. And they had on their writing that they reserve the right to re-release the mold or this product if they do two things: change the package and the color. So they have to have different paint apps or different coloration of the actual product and completely different packaging. So with that, I was looking at it thinking, okay, so this will be a classic one. Then they can have one that looks goofy or something. They put it in a different series and paint it white or something. That was my expectation of it. And that's going to come into play here in a little bit when I talk about something else. Now, the one thing that did last quite a while, I'm hearing 25 minutes because this didn't sell out in the minute and a half when I was watching it. But the Sky Striker, and it doesn't surprise me because you can still get a Sky Striker pretty close to the MSRP. I mean, not a huge markup. It's not, you don't have to pay twice as much to get a Sky Striker. And the thing is that I don't know why. Maybe it's because so many were ordered, or maybe because so many people already have a Sky Striker, 6 Sky Strikers. So it's not as in demand as something that is a dream project. So this is where they got away from making dream projects and they started making bundles, and then of course just trying to forever inflate the price of every Sky Striker out there. But you can still get this set pretty easy on the secondary market without paying too much more. But eventually the Sky Striker itself did sell out. Now, like I said, I was more worried about getting a screen capture and then getting over to my community tab and letting people know about it. And then by the time I had that all up, and then I tested my link so that I could link people straight to it, everything was sold out with Sky Striker and a Hero's Quest or something. That wasn't a surprise, and my initial thought was, these were their extras. How long do you sit on extra stock for replacements? Is it 3 months? Is it a year? Is it 3 years? And I feel like all of these items have been in the hands of customers long enough that if you have a problem, you've had a decent amount of time to complain and get it filled. So I think that's fine. I mean, I'm fine with that. And I don't need another one of these, so I didn't order another one of these. But yeah, I mean, $5.75, and I think some people were thinking that that price was cheaper than what we paid, because we're all remembering what we paid after tax, and that's just kind of what sticks in your mind after the whole thing, like what I actually had to pay out that included tax. But it was good for those few people that were able to snag one. And those of you that wanted to, maybe I've got one, but I wanted to get one in another mode, so that'd have been cool too. So I'm kind of thinking this was a two-pronged thing. I think they were trying to say it has something to do with charity, but they really wanted to pad their end-of-year numbers, I'm sure. No matter whether it benefits charity or not, this is going to help their sales line and make, I don't know, a few $100,000 to $1 million in just a few minutes, which was impressive. Plus clearing up some warehouse space. And so there's a lot of reasons that they would have done this, but the reason I'm pointing all this out is because something was absent, and I'm going to talk about the absent Haslab that most people were hoping was on there or wanting to be on there, and it's just too soon. Now the His Tank just arrived. People are just getting their His Tank. I'm sure there's going to be people that have some issue, and here's the thing: they have an issue. They might break something themselves, and Hasbro will probably still replace it. They have replacement parts and items and whatever. Maybe your Cobra Commander packaging is messed up, and they have to send you another Cobra Commander. So there's a whole lot of slew of reasons why they would hold on to theirs. But all this talk about this vault has got me thinking about a couple of things. And going back to this Haslab cell barge and the small writing saying that they can reissue it in a different color gets me to thinking they can do two things with this. Now, Lenny's already said it. Lenny's already alluded to, now that this is funded and it's going to go into production, we can start looking at making this in a few different colors. Obviously, the first one you'd want to think of is, of course, the blue. The His 3, is it? Okay, whatever. But it's the blue one, and it's a possibility to get it in blue. And I think a lot of people that want it, that missed out on it, were like, that would be like getting the second favorite one or something like that. And I really wanted the original one, an original color scheme, not this. But yeah, I mean, this is an option that they could go with. Now, people that have speculated on what they would do with this speculate that they would lower the price point, only include one figure. The unlocks would be, kind of like not figures, but lower price point unlocks. But it'd be a bare bones, stripped down giant man of an offering for like 200 or something. That's what people are thinking could happen if they make the blue one, because it would be a lower demand item, but they don't have to pay for the tooling, so they could share that savings with the consumer. And blue is a little riskier than a black one, right? Then there's also the question of the red one, which I don't know the significance of why it's red, but there's a red one floating around out there somewhere too. And for that, I mean, those are opportunities or options that they have that they could put it back out. And it's well within the guidelines of the tiny little text that I've seen somewhere before on Haslabs. And Lenny said it's something they could do. Now, the other thing is, I do not like the packaging. I don't. I'm not impressed by it. And I started to wonder, why did they do this? How come every other Haslab packaging seems sort of retro? Sky Striker seemed like it's retro, and everything seemed retro. I mean, the Unicron, there's not really a retro Unicron, but the Unicron packaging was not so much like following the vintage G1. But all this other stuff seems to be retro. We see that the Dragonfly looks like it's going to have retro style packaging. I mean, everything's going to have retro packaging, right? Except this. Then that got me to thinking, oh, well, this might be an offering that they have in the future going forward. It might tick people off too if they do this. But if they offer it in a retro color scheme and a bare bones offering and cut the price down too. So that's something else. There's a possibility that could happen. And to me, I'm thinking, okay, I was okay with them say, hey, we're going to put it back out as a blue, or we're going to put it back out as red. But then putting it back out like this, it's like, oh, maybe I should have waited. But I don't know what they're going to do going forward, but it's a possibility. Now, going into this Victory Saber it looks like a great offering. And, once people get it in hand and everybody that's got it loves it. They like it. It's fantastic. And got to say, you got the whole set in one go. Instead of where I am, I have a Star Saber waiting on the Victory Leo from that Starblade set. But you got this right away. And it looks great. And it's cool that it's back out and people can get it for the standard 180 or something like that. But the thing about it is that we've got the Deathsaurus coming in now. So people that missed this but order the Deathsaurus can now have their pair, can now have their set. And that's pretty cool. And with that, though, I mean, if you got there in the minute and a half while it was still available. Now, I literally have no interest in buying one of these at the $400 price point. And I'm not that big into the Ghostbusters. And I've kind of stopped with the props and that kind of stuff. They take up a lot of space, and I just don't do that anymore. But this is magnificent. It looks fantastic. And as I was considering getting one of those cheap ones that was Ruby's make it, or one of the costume shops at Spirit Halloween makes it. I was considering buying one of those. They were tiny, and I'm like, I'm just not into this stuff that much. But I got a buddy that is, and he says this was a fantastic deal at $400, and explained to me all the reasons why. And so I really understand. If you're super into this, then this is definitely awesome to get your hands on it. This seems like a little recent, in my opinion, that they're already putting it back out along with the Victory Saber, but I guess they feel like enough time's gone by, they can get rid of their excess stock, and it's kind of cool because this has a current Haslab going on too. Well, did it just fund or just end? So getting back to the concept, is this another run of product? No, I don't think so. I think this is literally all the spares they've got, and I'm sure they're probably still sitting on like 5 of each in case for some weird, strange reason that they need to access 5 or 3 or something for something in the future. But I feel like it was probably 20 to 50 of each that they had. I don't think they were sitting on 100 of any of these, and they sold out so ridiculously fast that that's kind of proof that they didn't have much in there. But anyway, I'm curious what you guys think in the comments below. I've heard several comments in the community post, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate those comments. But let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, and Tydirium here out.